Hi, I'm Armando here with Pendley's Plentiful Pets and Arizona Fish Rescue. We're a fish rescue based out of Kingman, Arizona. Matt's out right now, so I'm just going to take care of a couple of shrimp tank water changes. And right above here, in a past video, I showed you guys how we prepare our shrimp water change water. And right here we have our row of 5 shrimp tanks right here. And we have a 10-gallon tank or reservoir of water ready for shrimp water changes. We have 5 shrimp tanks right here. So if you do the math, that equates to about 2 gallons allotted per tank. So that's about 20% water change because these are all 10 gallons. And yeah, so we're just gonna take you along real quick with that. It's nothing real big, nothing real special, but we just want to take you guys along. Thank you very much. Alright, so right now, I'm just gonna take you guys along with me while I drain all these tanks. 20% of the way, and then I'll take you guys along right up top. I'll show you guys, give you a quick review of how we set up our water for our water changes on our shrimp, and then I'll take you guys along while we start to fill them, and then yeah, that's it. I hope you guys learned something, and thank you guys for watching. I may not talk as much. I'll try to think of things to say, but that's pretty much it. I'm just kind of draining these tanks right now, and then just gonna fill them back up. I'll teach you guys as much as I can along the way. Thank you. It's all right. Alright, it's about 20% there. And that's pretty much it. Draining them is really nothing special. It's just draining them a little bit. And so we're just going to move on to the next tank. Alright, now we're on to the next tank. I'm going to drain it down another 20%, like how we just did the last one. Let's get that posted up in there. Let's start the siphon. I can't even lie, guys. I got some duck feed in my mouth. And then I try to keep the tube that's siphoning the water away from surfaces, so that way I don't scoop up any baby shrimp or any adult shrimp or plants or stuff. Like you guys just saw, I lost track of where the tube was, and so yeah, we're just gonna drain this about 20%. Shrimp, they do better with more frequent small water changes versus some more infrequent big ones, because they just don't handle change like that all too well. If they can adapt, sure, but when it comes to baby shrimp especially are the real sensitive ones, and so you just want to try to cater to their sensitivity a little bit, especially when you're trying to breed them, whether it be for profit or just because you want a collection of shrimp. And so yeah, we prefer to do some more frequent, smaller water changes. That way there's not as big of shifts in parameters when we do water change. Yeah, that's pretty much what we got for it. Like I said, it's just a real simple one today. We're just draining the tanks and refilling them. So that's 20% drained. We're going to move on to the next one. Alright, and here we're on to the next one. This is our Blue Dream breeding colony. These guys, I actually really like these. I have some myself, and they're just starting to breed. And they are beautiful. They are nice, deep, sort of like a dark sky blue. They make it a little bit darker on camera, maybe a little bit lighter, but yeah, they are blue and they're beautiful and they're nice. And this tank has had a fair bit of evaporation. That's all right. We're just still going to drain 20% of what's in it and fill it back up to the top. In this tank, this is just a little bit of jungle val, mainly guppy grass, and a bunch of Blue Dream shrimp. So a lot of the males are going crazy in here, probably because a female just molted recently, and she's currently releasing a hormone that is signaling to them that she's ready to be fertilized, so she can move her eggs from her ovaries to her undercarriage, where she's going to fluff them and take care of them for 3 weeks, 4 weeks, depending on the temperature of your tank. And yeah, so that's that. There's 20% of that tank right there. It's real simple, especially with the 3/4 inch hose. Draining tanks is a breeze. So that's about it for that one. Just draining it, and then here at the end, I'll teach you guys again about why we pre-treat our shrimp water above, why it's on the top shelf above it, what these airlines right here are for. We'll get to that. It's not like we just have some airlines just hanging lazily in the tank. Like they're there for a reason. All right, let's move on to the next one, the red cherries. All right, this is our red cherry shrimp tank. These guys are definitely one of my favorites, and these guys are actually just getting off of this like long-term dormancy thing that they did, where they just sort of stopped breeding altogether. They were surviving. Well, some of them were dying off, but that's mainly because some of them were old. But now they are finally starting to produce again. We have 3 or 4 buried females in here. There are some babies all around here. A lot of juveniles in here. We're definitely getting those numbers back up from what once was, I think, like 5 or 6 in here. Now we're starting to get the colony coming back again, which I'm super excited about. So, just like usual, let's drain 20%. And again, I like to keep the hose away from like surfaces, because shrimp are usually on surfaces, and I don't want them to like get too close to this strong suction and get sucked in, because that would suck. Even if they may survive it, it's just unneeded stress that they don't need. So yeah, we're just going to drain this tank. Watch out, make sure we're not sucking up any shrimp. And that's about it. We're going to drain about 20% of this tank, and it's about 20%. This tank right here is probably the most densely planted one. This tank has gone absolutely gangbusters with jungle val. I'll show you guys right here. It's gone crazy with the jungle val. It's just kind of all fed from some of the first plants that went in here, and then it's just kind of trailed all along the sides. It's getting that real drapey look to it. That jungle val is really coming along, and there's a bunch of guppy grass back here and some hair algae on the filter. But we're trying to give the babies as much of a chance in here, so we're just kind of leaving this tank be. It's finally starting to show some success, so we're just going to let it do what it's doing. All right, and this tank is the last one on our row of 5 10-gallon shrimp tanks, and this is our cold tank, where we throw all the colds that are non-really. And really is basically just a color morph of shrimp, or pattern morph, where it has color on the head of the shrimp, and then a color on the tail of the shrimp, with a transparent section in the center of it. These guys don't have that. These guys are just off throws, mainly wild types like browns and clears and some dull yellows. Mainly the shrimp that we don't want with our other target breeding populations, like our blacks, blues, and reds. We try to keep the best blues and blacks and reds in those tanks with each other, so that way they can make more beautiful blues, blacks, and reds. And the other ones kind of go into these other tanks. We still watch the babies and the production in here in case they make any good quality shrimp that can go back with the other colonies. Yeah, so let's drain this. There was also a fair bit of evaporation with this tank, so we're just gonna 20% of it, fill it back up, 20% of what's left, and fill it back up. And we also don't gravel vac our shrimp tanks, because we don't want to vacuum up shrimp or shrimplets. Shrimplets are just baby shrimp, as well as any organics that are caught within the substrate the shrimp usually graze on and pull nutrition from. Alright, it's probably over 20% of that, but that's alright. And now, I'm going to take you guys up top to our water reservoir. Alright, now we're up top on the top row of this of the entire wooden fish rack within the fish room. And in the center here, we have this 10-gallon tank that is usually just full of water with nothing in it. And that's because this is our shrimp change water. And what that means is this is water that's been pre-treated that is okay to go directly in the shrimp tank. So we take this water, which is pre-treated with Chem Prime or really any good dechlorinator, and it is left out to sit for 24 hours minimum, so that way, and there's a sponge filter there to create surface agitation, and what that does is it evaporates all of the chlorine and chloramine that's within the water to make it as safe and stable of water as possible, so the baby shrimp don't have to deal with any rise in chlorine or chloramines. So it's also right above the other shrimp tanks, and the room itself, so the tanks themselves sit at the temperature, the tanks themselves sit at the temperature of the room, so this water is the same temperature as the water that it's going to be going into, as the tanks that it's going to be going into, so there really won't be any shift in temperature. And the reason why, and we don't want big shifts in TDS or any water parameter that's maybe different from this tank to the ones below it. So we just drain it very slowly, because the shrimp can't handle change in parameter just very slow, and we like to drip it. So we take this and we create a siphon with these lines right here. These are just regular standard air lines, and we use these flow valves right here to only allow 2 to 5 drips per second. Just 2 to 5 drops per second in the tank. It takes a number of hours to fill these tanks. But what that does is it creates a very, very, very slow and gradual change, if there is going to be any change. So that way you can allow all the inhabitants of your tank, whether it be your adult shrimp, your baby shrimp, or whatever fish you have in there. This also works for fish fry, because they don't handle big shifts of water parameters well either. And so this just allows it to, if there's going to be any change when you do a water change, like water parameter wise, it allows it to happen very gradually, very slowly, and you get a lot higher shrimp survival rate in doing that. So that is why we have this right above all the shrimp tanks, and all these lines are hanging out of it. And so I'll show you guys how we get that started now. Okay, so now we're back in front of the shrimp tanks. We're just going to use this black samurai tank, or this black soccer, or whatever you want to call it, just a deep dark black neocaridina shrimp. And this is how it works. So this line is trailed right back up to that tank that I just showed you guys with all that pre-treated shrimp water. And all we're going to do now is we're just going to, so I'm going to open the flow valve a little bit to allow a little bit of flow through it. And I'm going to do a little bit of like a suck to start the siphon going, and I'll show you guys what I mean by just drip water changes. Okay, so right now it's flowing slow, but this is a little bit faster than we find comfort in. So I'm going to reach up and I'm going to adjust the flow with the flow valve just to get a very slow flow. So if you guys look, it's slowing down as I turn it, and we like to do about 2 to 5 drips per second. Even if that's a little slow for some people, there's no harm in taking the extra caution. So I like to do about this, just a nice steady drip, just like that. It's about 2, maybe 3 drops per second, just right into the water, and over a number of hours, it will slowly fill this tank back up to the top. And so that way, and you can just drop it in there. That's going to do the same thing. It's just going to let a little bit of water in over a long period of time, and that's just going to fill the tank back up very slowly. So that way, even if there is no change that's going to happen from doing a water change, you still have the insurance that if there is going to be any, it's going to happen very slowly. And just in taking that measure, you can save yourself a lot of hassle and headache, and you won't kill hardly any baby shrimp, if any at all. And that's just how we like to do our water changes. So I'm gonna get all these lines going, and then I'll check back in with you guys like after all these are going, and I'll give you guys a little end recap. All right, so now as a final recap, I finally got all these lines going. It took a second, but we got it going. As you can see, all these tanks have a line, just having a slow drip of water, 2 to 5 drips per second, just dripping into them to prevent any large shifts in water parameters. And those are all coming from this tank up here, which is pre-treated shrimp water that's perfectly safe to go into a shrimp tank. There's no chlorine, there's no chloramines. It's the same temperature as the tanks below. And that's it. That's pretty much all we had going today for these shrimp tank water changes. And I hope you guys learned something with that. I'm sorry if I wasn't as educational as I could be. I'm not a great teacher, but yeah, I tried, and I'll get better at it as time goes on. But yeah, that's just kind of how that goes. Just drip it real slowly, and I promise you, if you just take on any similar, like any kind of similar outlook to keeping a shrimp, just mainly trying to keep stable water parameters, you'll have a lot more success breeding shrimp and keeping fish fry alive, because they're also, I think of them as equally sensitive. So yeah, just give me a second. Let me get you set up. I'll do an outro. All right, so this is me here, Armando. I'm with Pendley's Plentiful Pets, Arizona Fish Rescue, based out of Kingman, Arizona. And this was just me taking you guys along with doing some shrimp tank water changes. Matt was out today, so I'm just me today. That's all right. I hope you guys enjoyed me. I tried. And yeah, that's about it for shrimp tank water changes. Just slowly dripping in safe water, which is basically water that already has the chlorine and chloramines evaporated out. It is treated with a dechlorinator anyway to help, one, neutralize the tap water to ammonia and the other nitrogen compounds. It reduces the effects of heavy metals, which say there's large amounts of iron or zinc in your tap water, or copper, that can really help in keeping stable water parameters so your shrimp don't suffer from it. And yeah, just also dripping the water that's the same temperature. It's a pretty simple process, so just thought you guys to take along. It was a really big change in how things went for me when I was keeping shrimp, and so I just wanted to show that to you guys as well. Thank you guys very much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed it.